Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you right now. It is 1:10 Best Coast time. It is an amazing day for grappling. We have a big show for you guys, but I don't want to give too much away about our guest just yet, because as our guest gets prepared to be on this show right now, I've got some great news for you. First and foremost, if you go to No Gi BJJ Gear right now and you use the promotional code Grappling Hour 15, I'll tell you this much. You get 15% off of whatever is in your cart. Now, think about that. That's great savings, especially as we all get a little bit bigger because of COVID. Get some new brand sizes for your whole, Corona weight. And in fact, there's actually a rash guard that says Corona weight champ. I'm saying right now, it's hard for somebody to take that away from you. They can take your gyms. They can take anything away from you, but they can't take away the fact that you are a Corona weight champ. Anyway, I don't know if you guys checked over the weekend. It was an impacted weekend. We had tons of events. We had Submission Underground. We had UFC 251. There was a Third Coast grappling event. So many things that were going on over the weekend. And we didn't forget about our friends over at, at Polaris. We love watching their events. We love being a part of their stuff. We have been there since day one. We are day ones with Polaris. And today I'm so stoked because we actually have the winner of the Polaris 13 Grand Prix. Now, he has told me off air that there is no way I can pronounce his name properly. And to him, I say, well, I don't pronounce many names properly, but I'm going to show you. On my notepad over here, it says Freddie Vosgro, which is how I heard them say it over the weekend. I'm going to attempt to read the version that he tried to tell me is the actual version I'm supposed to say. The actual version is supposed to sound something like Frederick Vosgro is essentially what his name is supposed to sound like in my ears. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of Polaris 13, you got Freddie Vosgro. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not too bad. It's pronounced Vosgro.
That's not a real name. And I understand this is a regional thing, that I'm saying it as a true American over here. But I did his best. Look, I want you to see what it looks like. No. Look at this.
I mean, to be honest, it was much better than 99% of people.
I'll take that. I'm in the 1% of messing up your name. I appreciate that.
Definitely. I think you could actually get it right if you practice like for a couple hundred hours. You might get it right eventually.
Man, I'm such a perfectionist, but over the years, I've learned to be less perfectionist about names because we do all these different fight companions. I do commentary. We do the podcast. And a lot of the times will just hunker down and just commit 1,000,000% to just saying it one way and hope for the best. But for the most part, people have a pretty good sense of humor. And a lot of times we just do puns on names just to have some fun. So Freddie, tell me about this, man. I have to ask right up top, what did it feel like to win Polaris 13?
To be honest, there was the prize money, which was really good. Obviously, 10 grand. I'm not gonna complain about that. Otherwise, I just felt a bit relieved, to be honest, because I put a lot of pressure on myself because I knew everybody in the competition pretty much. So I knew that I should win. So then winning and not making a mistake or something that cost me like no silly mistake or something, and just do my jiu-jitsu, and that's why I felt relieved. Also, I had a really bad injury actually, like 4 weeks before the competition. Mm-hmm. Like I had a knee injury and I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. So basically, like 2 weeks before the competition, I couldn't train. I couldn't even walk. Like genuinely, like I was like completely couldn't do anything. Then like the first training session I did was actually when they were filming the promo video of the Polaris, and I was just trying to mask me being injured. Like was so yeah. Normally, like when they first told me about the competition, I was like, okay, I got this anyway. It's like not gonna be much of a struggle. And then I injured myself like 2 days later. I was out, and then I was like, oh, it's gonna be like that preparation is gonna be a struggle. So basically, the whole time because I obviously couldn't train, much jiu-jitsu like normal. Like I couldn't do any wrestling. I think the only time where I could actually do like starting from standing was like maybe like a couple of days before the competition.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to do the preparation, just basically trying to do what I can. So I just did a lot of, as soon as I was able to do it, a lot of air dyne bike just to get like my cardio up, and I needed to lose quite a lot of weight. And obviously I needed to adapt my style a little bit, because I didn't want to have anyone attacking that leg, obviously, because it still wasn't 100%. Maybe maybe like 70% or something. So because of those reasons, I was relieved, that I still managed to get it done, even though with a pretty severe injury. So yeah, otherwise I wasn't too satisfied with my performance because I couldn't get any submissions, obviously. But still, I think I managed to impose my game on anyone and be dominant. So yeah.
But that pressure you were applying, and dude, one of the things I really liked was right out of the gate, you came pretty hot, man. So when I saw you start your matches, you came out aggressive. You were very, very good at implementing a game plan and making sure that you were going to kind of strike first, kind of a thing. And to me, as an observer and as a watcher, all I can ever ask of the athletes is just to kind of put their best out there, knowing now that you did that with an injury that you just came back from and you were masking it for a while. Even more impressive, man.
Yeah. No, honestly, like my leg, like I don't think many people would have competed. But because honestly, like they gave me that opportunity for 10 grand against UK people, like, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna. Doesn't matter what injury, but if I get 10K to fight people that I already competed against or know, like I was like, like for example, that like just because they had like the original Polaris heavyweight Grand Prix where I was supposed to be in, had 20 grand prize money, and obviously against like Kane Duarte and Nicky Rod, like the toughest names, what you would expect for the prize money. So when they told me, okay, we're gonna put 10K, and it's gonna be against UK people, and I'm gonna be the biggest guy in the competition. Like I'm gonna be the heaviest guy. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna let anyone take that away from me.
Good for you. And you mentioned you had to cut some weight. How much weight are we cutting here? Because you look like a modern Viking on camera, and I can't tell if that's just the lighting that's doing it for you there, bud.
No, so like, okay, I'm gonna have to say it in kilograms. I don't know if you're gonna understand that.
Your fake numbers over there over the pond.
But so I was like 96 kilograms.
Okay.
And it was 90. So I need to lose like 6 kilos in 5 weeks, which it's doable. But for 2 weeks, I couldn't do any. The only thing I could do was like pull-ups, basically, like anything that doesn't involve my legs. So I really needed to eat super clean for the entire time. Just to, like, when I was injured, I couldn't even sit on the couch and eat because I needed to lose the 4 kilos. So so now 6 kilos. So I don't know what that, like, maybe 12, 13, 14 pounds, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and thank you for doing the conversion, because it's usually almost like double to us in pounds. But I just know that
double.
Yeah, if somebody ever tells me, "Hey, Raph, you've got to lose even 5 pounds," I'm like, I don't want to. Like, no, I don't. I'm not in that league. But for you, though, I mean, you did look pretty well matched. But even when you and Breeze were going against each other in that first match, I just thought,
man.
like, Jesus Christ, those two guys literally are in way better shape than most of us in the COVID era right now.
Man, I know. I mean, I know. I did like, I don't know, weights twice a day or something during the lockdown.
Mhm.
And I know he also was just doing strength training or whatever he does every day, I think. But yeah, man, he was fucking jacked. I was like
So
everybody in the warm up was like, Jesus Christ.
because the thing I think about is, I don't know, you guys live different lives as athletes, but when people take off their rash guard and then they're gonna roll it like that, he's that kind of guy that if you started doing it and he takes off his, you almost want to be like, no, I think I want to keep mine on, dude. I'm good.
Yeah, I was rethinking my shirtless outfit for a second.
But you know what though? I think it was a good strategy because especially in these elements where it's so high paced, everybody becomes very slippery. And if you sometimes have that traction, you almost are easier to hold a little bit.
Yeah, but I only did it because of the pictures. Like, I only did it because I wanted to look cool. Like, no other reason.
Hey, you know what though? I do say this. So we give a lot of people mess. We call it hashtag ADCC style because that's where everybody does it. So everybody always is like at ADCC, like 50% of the competitors are just like, I didn't eat carbs for 2 months for this. So we get it. You worked hard for it. But I would tell you this though, out of the gate, that was a real fun match. And I know you were complimenting him, but tell me a little bit from your recollection on how you felt that match went.
Like, so, yeah, again, so I knew you would try to like wrestle me, which again, normally, to be honest, I wouldn't care too much. But yeah, because of my injury, like, if somebody would have I would not have been able to balance basically, like especially like on one leg. So I didn't want him to. But to be fair, I don't think he would have shot on me anyways. So I wasn't too worried about it. But I was just I was worried about injuring myself, especially in that first match. Like the first match, like especially for the first 5 minutes, I was still a little bit because I didn't go like the last couple of days before the competition, especially after I rested, my knee felt pretty good. So at the competition, I could actually go like pretty hard on it. Like it didn't really bother me too much. But in the first like 2 minutes, I was a bit like just hesitant, So especially like because I had this foot like up in the air, and then like normally I would make like a kind of like a cross step to like kick his leg out to get like because I tried to kick his leg out from just from me standing. Normally I would have made like a step and kicked it out, but because I didn't want to balance on that one leg, I wanted to always have two legs on the floor. That's why there in that moment, for example, I couldn't really do what I would normally do. And then when we scrambled, also I didn't really want to get into like much scrambling, So I was just like, okay, accept the guard because again, I fought him before and I know like I can probably just sweep him. And then I think he went for a leg lock then. And then once I got on top, then I know like I could I know felt pretty easy to
well, once you got on top, you did this kind of thing where and now in retrospect, I understand, a few things. One, in your post interview on that one, you were saying you don't want to burn yourself out. Two, now that I know you got an injury, you don't want to let him back in. So you held that side control well. And I think the third thing is a combination of, I would see you kind of look up a little bit, and I could see you were maybe looking at both your points and making sure you had a little bit of head on him and that you were in control.
Yeah, the thing is, I knew I was 95% sure that I'm going to meet Ross Nichols in the final. And I know that Ross never gets tired, because I know I had like, I remember like the first or second time I sparred with him, like, I don't know, I think we rode for like an hour or something straight, and like he never gets tired. So I was like, okay, I don't want to burn out, any of my grips, or don't get too tired, because I knew that that's gonna be, I need to go 10 minutes full pace, because he's gonna be there for the entire, and he's gonna be dangerous for the entire 10 minutes. Like, not too much, like in the first match, at some point, and then also in the second match. The second match, then also it got like really slippery, and then I would like to actually get a guard pass. I would have needed to, really use a lot of strength to like hold the position. So after being up on points, definitely had like the 10K in my mind a little bit. But I still try to not, I don't know, like still try to be offensive and aggressive, I didn't want to just, I'm not really just, blocking, and, I still try to like be active. Yeah.
I think it's hard to explain to people the difference between one super fight and a tournament style, because really burning yourself out, there's nothing worse than making it as far as you want to go in the tournament and then having very little in the gas tank. So I don't hate on it at the least. And I still thought that one of the nice things is that you made sure to pick and choose your times when you would go hyper aggressive, and then times when you would kind of scale it back and be like, where do we stand? This is a points tournament. Let's not be stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, again, like I think I still did a good job, of being aggressive. And I think, I know, to be honest, I think, like, for example, Tom Breeze, if he would have opened up more, I'm pretty sure I would have tapped him, but all these people know how good I am, or they trained with me, competed against me. So, like, they were all really defensive, because they knew that I'm gonna take their neck if I get it, or
I mean, I'm a guy who's regularly told I have fairly decent defense. So when I saw him hiding his arms and making sure that he was right there, I was like, oh, I know that world very well. Like, I looked at him and I was like, I think it's going to be really hard to get him to do that. And the hard part about it is, one of the ways I tell people to try and beat me is, I'm like, you have to make me open up a little bit more. And I think one of the hardest parts about that is you almost let them back into the fight if you're not careful in there. So it's a very tricky balance. Let's talk a little bit about your second match. You kind of alluded to that, and I would like to discuss that, because I thought that was a pretty good match as well.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, I was expecting, because the match before was a ref decision, and before I expected the other guy, Silvio, who I train with, he's my friend. I expected him to win, so I was actually a bit surprised, to fight Taylor, because Silvia's like, is really strong as a weight advantage, and it was a close match. So I was fighting Taylor Kerman, and him, I don't know, I didn't really feel like with Tom Breeze, at least, he's a big guy, if he's long, you don't want to get in a triangle from him, you don't want to get dust choked, you don't, but with Taylor, especially with the size difference, like, I didn't feel really a second, too threatened. And then, but his guard was really good. So especially once it got slippery, was definitely was difficult. He was pretty flexible. But that match, I mean, I'm not happy with it. Like, but then again, like, for the last 5 minutes, I just had like the thought, because I know that basically a fight with Ross is just going to be the same thing. Again, me passing, and somebody with a really flexible, good guard. So taking it a little bit lighter.
The other hard thing that it is to kind of overlook here is that Taylor, he's got a pretty good resume on him as well, with wins over Jimenez and Steele. So he's somebody that, again, if you're not respecting his game properly and shutting it down, then he could very well advance his way into the next portions of the tournament. So it's a very, again, it's a very delicate thing where you want to advance. That's $10,000.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially if you never won $10,000 again before. So
and here's where it gets, I guess, a little funny to me, which is, I don't think I'm necessarily good at grappling, but one of the things that I know that I do decently is I strategize. And normally I keep my strategy close to the vest. But after your second interview, the thing I loved in that interview after your second match was you being like, yeah, I already know what Ross is going to do. He's going to pull guard. He's going to try and butterfly sweep me. He's going to do that arm lock thing that he likes to do. And I'm sitting at home, and all I could think about was, oh my God, he literally just said what the game plan is. Like those are internal monologue thoughts. But of course, when you mentioned you're familiar with him, that means that you guys have trained before, and you just alluded to the fact that you could have hour-long sessions. But let's talk a little bit about this decision to pull guard right up front. I want you to walk me through that.
Yeah. So, so I was thinking, I had that thought, like, I don't know, it came to me because I can't remember. Yeah, like I was watching actually the match from Taylor versus Silvio.
Mm-hmm.
And Taylor, I think he immediately set to guard, or like at some point, then I just had that thought in my head that if I fight him, I should pull guard, like first, immediately, without any grips, because you don't need any grips, right?
Yeah.
But then I thought, okay, Taylor, I can probably, it doesn't really matter too much to get that point, right? So I was like, okay, I save it for Ross. Because I trained with him, so many times. And I know that, like, especially with the size difference, like if I get a hold of one of his legs, like I can normally just dump him over, so I was like, okay, if he's smart, he's gonna pull guard without making any step forward, But so I was just the whole time I was just thinking about, please don't sit immediately, and then when he didn't sit immediately, and I had my butt on the floor, I thought, okay, I won the match, like like that was literally like, and then when I was playing guard, because again, like, with the size difference, especially also, like, I'm really good at, like, getting, like, like single legs from half guard or that sort of stuff,
I did notice
really, because I trained with like I went to train with like Olympic medalists, like in wrestling and stuff, in the last couple of months, actually, or like a couple of months ago. So I feel really confident, and if I get a hold of somebody's legs in jiu-jitsu, that I can put them on their back, especially with the size difference. So I didn't even, like, when I was playing guard, I was just thinking, okay, to not let him get any footlocks on me while I was playing guard. So I was just having my feet on the floor, and then once I got on top, I had the point. And for Ross, I knew, like, he's not gonna win against me on points, Like, if he's beating me, it's gonna be, catching me in like a really tight heel hook, which can happen because his heel hooks are really, really good, Or he will get me with that straight arm lock, that he does from butterfly guard, and then he's gonna, I don't know, transition to like a rolling armbar or some stuff like that, where I make a mistake and get caught.
Yeah.
So I knew I'm not gonna lose on points, So as long as I don't get submitted, I'll win. And then, and then I managed to get, like, I didn't manage to get any points, unfortunately, and didn't manage to take us back because he's really good at defending, and it's like a ball, like to get. But I could have done a better job at taking us back, to be honest. Was a bit pathetic. Like, what am I doing? 3 times I had the chance.
Yeah, he's a tough role, and there was a lot of especially when they shifted the tournament to just UK grapplers, because for a while it was, you know, like you said, you had the Nicky Rod, you had, I thought Mike Perez was going to be in there, but when they shifted it to, when they shifted to just like all UK grapplers, they were putting a lot of hype behind Ross, and they were, you know, making him a centerpiece. And I love Ross. I've interviewed him. I think he's one of the nicest guys I've gotten to interview.
Definitely.
And I just looked over at this and I thought, you know, even though it sucks the situation that we're all in, you at the very least get the opportunity to get that exposure and to get that now. Like between all of those guys, like I thought that showcase for you guys looked amazing. The lighting looked great. The venue was awesome.
Really well organized. Yeah.
Now, I believe we can talk about it now. I'm not sure if you can, but you know, it was pre-tape, so this was a week ago now. How hard was it to sit on the result and not talk about it?
I mean, actually, you know, wasn't too bad, because like, every time I like kind of was fun. Every time somebody wrote me like, you on weight or you feeling good or whatever, I was just writing like, no, don't worry, I got this. or like I know, I basically won already, like stuff like that. So I kind of had my fun with it.
That's amazing, because to me, whenever I hear that everybody's trying to do what they can for the COVID situation, sometimes, you know, here in the States, some things are having to pre-tape and put them on as live, and you know, everything's a little wacky and different. I'm just glad that you guys were able to do that. What was the vibe like just going into the actual tournament atmosphere? Did you miss fans? Did you even care? Were you just so hyper focused on the tournament? And then what was the general vibe around like there?
So the vibe, I mean from everybody that was competing is pretty much friends, or at least friendly with each other, you know. So I mean, we're basically just all sitting together backstage, you know, messing around, you know, like you know, just the usual, I know, jiu-jitsu stuff, you know, where everybody's like friends with each other and having good times, and then you try to like take the money from each other.
Then you just try to you know, simulate murder and steal money from one another. Absolutely.
And the venue they chose was really good, and there were still more people watching than at every competition I did until maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago or whatever, you know. More people than at every Naga tournament in Germany.
I mean, you know, they spaced everybody out, and it was cool to see this was the makeshift. And for me, you know, I watched it with Palmer. We did a nice little fight companion for it. And one of the things that I commented on the look of it was, as much as I've loved Polaris, I used to hate the raised platform amphitheater for the grapplers, because it always felt like jiu-jitsu gravity would hit and they'd always end up smacking it. I don't think this was super different in size, but jiu-jitsu gravity kept you guys pretty contained.
Yeah, you definitely I definitely prefer it. In general, I like it when you have you know, when you have the people fighting on the bottom, you know, and you have like a theater going up, you know, that in general I feel like it's the best to watch grappling, because when you're like for example, they did like the Polaris in London, and they are like the people are like 1.5 meters like higher than you, and then you you just need to look from that weird angle, you know, like upwards. That isn't really good for grappling. But and also you know, like they still made it feel like you know, like it's an actual event and not just like you know, like a training session. Like they did a good job of still bringing, you know, like, you know, that like the walk-up music and the lights, you know, and had like some steam coming up, and you have like
Okay, that I do want to talk about, because did the steam go off any other time except for the end?
No, I think that was just for the final. And I was
Yeah.
actually like, they told me to stand. They told me to stand basically right behind where that steam is coming out,
Hmm.
or like right in front. And then so I was standing there, and once Ross walked out and the steam came up, and I was like getting it like all in my face. And I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to breathe that in before I'm about to compete.
Because to me, all I could think of was you guys look like when they do that, you guys look like professional wrestlers, and they do that all the time. So they get to walk
Yeah.
out, and they always do it like it's nothing. For a lot of us in grappling, there is no pomp and circumstance, and if there is, it's very little and on a micro budget. So when I saw that they saved the steam for the end, I just remembered thinking, oh shit, the athletes don't know what to do with this because they literally just go hit the steam. And then when you guys walked out, you're like, oh, that is there. Yes, okay, good to know.
But yeah, felt good to get a little bit of steam.
Hey man, well again, congrats to you. What are you doing with the 10K? Do you get to allow yourself any kind of fun thing to do with at least a little portion of it?
I mean, yeah, rent in London is like really expensive.
Mm.
So yeah, mostly just gonna use it for that. Yeah, and hopefully yeah, I can use that money to come over to America, hopefully for some competitions or whatever. And yeah, just yeah, I mean, I'm really confident that that wasn't the first 10K I'm gonna earn. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they're gonna do the heavyweight Grand Prix again, end of the year, they said. So that has 20 grand. So I'm confident to get the 20 grand too. But yeah, in general, yeah, I'm not gonna do anything special with it. Just gonna try to live off it a little bit for a couple of months.
So let's
And
talk about this because I'm curious about what your timeline is. I'm putting it all together now. So Polaris obviously happened last week, and then you were saying 4 weeks before that there was the injury, but then even before that there was COVID. What was training like for you during COVID? You made mention that you were thanking your coach for helping to make training,
yeah.
any kind of training possible. Do you mind to elaborate on that?
Yeah. Okay. So let me first go to that. Yeah, because I trained at Carlson Gracie in London,
Okay.
and my instructor, he's the head of the UK BJJ Association,
Mm-hmm.
and he was actually the first person, because he went to the government basically and gave them a lot of criteria on the how he'd think that they can make jiu-jitsu training again,
Mm-hmm.
and especially for, I mean, supposed to for athletes, you know, that make a living of it. So basically he managed to get it done so that they could sanction the Polaris event, you know. So because the government to sanction basically jiu-jitsu, you know, under certain rules. Like, for example, you're only supposed to train when you are an elite athlete, you know. Obviously not really tough way to describe that in jiu-jitsu, but basically when you're an elite athlete, you can train. So we had like a training pot of 4 guys, you know, from my gym, you know, like they were black belts, or, you know, like good purple belts, you know, that were like managed to train like that. And then he managed to basically sanction so that Polaris could go to the local council, because I think first they declined it, and then once they got the official papers, then they managed to put on the event. So without him, basically, would not have happened. So I'm very thankful for that. And then because that was the worst thing, because the original Polaris Grand Prix was supposed to be beginning of April, basically at the same time that all that lockdown happened. So that was really disappointed, because I was training my ass off for like 4 months for that. And like I went to Belarus. I went to Belarus to train with like Olympic bronze medalist in wrestling, for example. Like I did that, just as preparation, which was like super hard training, twice a day, training with some monster, just throwing me around basically. And yeah, and trained super hard, like 4 months in the UK here. I went train with my wrestling instructor, Lubo, who's like 4-time Bulgarian national champion. So I was training with like all those guys, went out of my way to train with these people, and then they canceled it. And then I was like, fuck, that sucks. And then obviously in lockdown, I managed to sneak in some training twice at Silvio's, one of the guys in the Grand Prix, in his back garden, or like in his garden. So I actually managed to sneak in some training with him. And otherwise, I was just training with my flatmate, but he's a white belt. So yeah, there wasn't much training like that. But then I did, basically just did weights twice a day because I had so much energy. Like normally I'm used to training jiu-jitsu twice a day, so without that I had so much energy that I was just doing like every single body part every single day, just trying to at least get like super strong.
I mean, that's also a lot to put on that poor white belt, especially at some point for you to look at that poor white belt and go, all right, now be Tom Breeze, like.
I mean, to be fair, my flatmate has like the lowest center of gravity ever.
Okay.
So, and he's like really, really strong. He used to be like a rugby player. So, and he's like 110 kilos. So what I did was basically, I was just trying to like teach him. I mean, he has like some experience, like some wrestling experience, not much, but he did like, 10 classes. That's what I mean with experience.
Right.
So I was just like basically I was just trying to pick him up, I was just like, I was doing like wrestling with him or whatever, and all I was trying to do, not even to take him down, but just to like pick him up, like for example, even though I could just like push him or like just finish a single like a normal way, but I was just like, no, lift you off the floor, trying to suplex you basically, like so that was actually pretty good training because I actually got really good at lifting people off the floor, so
I'm curious because you mentioned with your flatmate, and I know that some areas have mats and some areas don't. So when you're mentioning that you're trying to lift him up, is there any padding to any of this, or is he just looking at the floor like, please don't drop me here?
I mean, it was basically tiny puzzle mats on the concrete floor most times.
Oh, God.
Yeah, or we wrestled a lot in the park actually. Like we did that too. Like that was actually really fun because like we were like wrestling and we had like all these like people just like watching what the fuck we are doing. Like just like in the park, like two massive guys trying to like wrestle each other. Like that was crazy.
Hey, but you know what? He passes the prerequisite with him being a rugby player. I feel like you're not going to break those guys. That's fine. As opposed to some training partners you would have, you'd be like, yeah, I don't know. This guy is not a rugby player. I might hurt him if I do something like that.
Yeah. No. Like he's a tough guy. So I had no mercy.
Good for you. That's the best thing to do. I'm curious about this man. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, you go.
Sorry.
You said you also so you were going to continue on.
Sorry.
No, I know, Freddie. I was going to let you go ahead and finish what you were talking about. I interrupted, and I wanted to see if you had a closing thought on that.
No. I was finished with that. So.
Got it. Okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to be a dick and be like, well, anyway, I'm just going to move on. What I was going to ask you, though, is I always like to get a sense of, with people during COVID, was there a period of time that you weren't training with COVID? And if so, how did you manage to mitigate that, especially with a Polaris tournament that you knew would happen at some point?
Yeah, I was just no, I mean, by the time I knew that there was the Polaris, by then I could train normally. So before the Polaris, for the Polaris, I just trained normally basically until okay, besides the injury, but yeah, and before that, I know was terrible. I was like losing my mind, no training. It was terrible. Like hated it every single second. Especially the worst thing was because then there are people that were saying, okay, not gonna, I don't know, competitions until, I don't know, next year or whatever. Nothing. And I was just like, please let that not be true. But then, thankfully it all resolved itself pretty quickly, thankfully.
There's a part of me that thinks that when they're like no competitions this year, you just have a phone book that you just rip. You're just like, why?
I was just trying to think how I can. I was thinking if I should just invite people in the park and just have like a super fight with them, just like in the park and like stream it on Instagram or some stuff.
Yeah, I can't tell you I wasn't thinking dissimilar things. I've helped run tournaments out here in LA, but it's not my main passion. I just like giving grapplers opportunities. And in the past, we've done like silly super fights and fun little things that I just think are there. But my heart always hurts for the athletes when they don't have opportunities. So for me, I had a similar thought where I was like, well, I could put on a couple super fights, but these are going to be the most speakeasy of speakeasy grappling sessions, But fortunately,
it felt like that at Polaris. You went into the back door of the building, kind of, and then they put you into the medical check, and and you weren't allowed to leave the building until it was done. So it felt kind of like that, like you're in some secret.
So I do want to bring this up though. Somebody just said, "Look high AF," though, and that's from Eoghan O'Flanagan, who writes that. Now, you have a part on your Instagram, correct me if I'm wrong, that says you are a world champion at Wake and Bake.
A red belt.
A red belt. I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were that old to get a red belt in that. So
I put a lot of effort in that art. A lot.
Fair enough. Is there a particular, do you have a certain kind of rhythm or pattern? Do you partake in something before training? Like, what is your regimen with that sort of stuff?
I mean, obviously in the UK, I can't, obviously impossible, but like normally,
in other circumstances, obviously,
like if I would be in California, definitely like before every training session normally. I quite like that.
Okay, fair enough. Some people
I like, let's say I'm pretty sure if you put me and Eddie Bravo into a room, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna walk out and he's gonna be sleeping on the table.
No way! Wow, that's impressive, sir.
I'm pretty confident.
How does one become that good at it? Because I'll tell you this much, man. I go to a lot of 10th Planet gyms. A lot of them love our shows. A lot of them are friends of our show, and they go deep, man. It could be a pretty high venture, one might say.
I do a lot of practice. A lot of practice, and
Well, I don't know if you've heard, but out here in California, they also have the High Rollers tournament where they actually encourage you to smoke out.
I definitely want to do that. Like, especially after seeing the price, like massive bag. I was like,
yeah, I would say that'd be a little hard to take back through customs when they look at your bag and they go.
If I would get that, I think I just like, I don't know, go to like the next 10th Planet school or whatever. Hand them out.
You just become like a jiu-jitsu
like
Santa Claus, like, hello, children, I've brought you gifts. And people are like, this
Exactly.
guy's the coolest guy I've ever met. That's amazing. Uh, Freddie, I want to ask you this. I always like to get into the background of things with people. So
Yeah.
since you've never been on the show, can you tell me where your origins begin with jiu-jitsu? When did you start?
Yeah, so I was training, or I started jiu-jitsu, like 8 years ago
Mhm.
when I was 16 in Germany, just in my hometown. And then I was training, just like a small gym, like where like two purple belts teaching. Uh, and then I got my blue belt there, but then I kind of outgrown the place, and also kind of split up. So and then I went to train with to a different gym. Went to my with like people that I trained with then for until 2 years ago, and where like was me, and then there was my friend Simon, who was a purple belt. No, I think he just got his purple belt. My friend Alex, who was a blue belt, and Nick, who was a blue belt back then. He was like my instructor back then. So basically, us guys. Another guy joined from Poland, Michal, who was a purple belt too. So then we had like kind of like a training group, and we had like some blue belts, like some white belts, but it was basically just us like smashing, just rolling. Like we didn't even really have classes. We still have the gym, the
Mhm.
chimp, like the monkey, and and we still exist now, actually, quite a lot, like, or a few members. Now it's like an actual jiu-jitsu gym, but back then it was just us on like in the basement of a boxing gym, just smashing each other. And yeah, so did that until 2 years ago, and then I moved to London, and ended up training here, or not ended up. I went here specifically to train here at Carson Gracie. Um, and since then, training pretty professional, twice a day. Before, like in Germany, was maybe like, I mean, we trained quite a lot, but you know 2 times a day, just I was like the only one. Everybody else was working normally, obviously. So
Mhm.
so it was always like, okay, train like jiu-jitsu maybe, let's say 5-6 times a week, and then do weights during the day. So it wasn't really like, was good training, but wasn't like, professional environment, um where now, I've strength and conditioning coach, I can do my training whenever. So from that point on, I was already, because I was at that point, I've already, like, before I joined
Mhm.
the gym, like, I was a brown belt at the time, but I've beaten Tom Breeze already. I've beaten which good guy did I beat? I beat Miha Perhavec, Miha.
Yep.
Like, so I've beaten like some, like, like pretty big names in like Europe, or like the guys that were on Polaris, like kind of like the higher level guys for Europe. But because living in Germany, I never had much chance to get on any super fight shows, and in Germany, there's just nothing really. So then once I moved to England, then I actually managed to, pretty quickly get on, Polaris, Grapple Fest, and just got, yeah.
Can you describe any of the regional differences? Because I've never been to Germany, so I don't know what the jiu-jitsu is like there. And obviously, you're describing that it is a different situation. But are
Yeah.
there any, like, can you visualize? Help us visualize what it is like. What is the jiu-jitsu scene in Germany like as a whole? Because it's still a pretty big space.
Like, you have like couple gyms with some good people,
Mhm.
um like you have a couple, and you have like couple guys, that are, some brown belts or purple belts or whatever. I think, to be honest, I haven't really followed any German jiu-jitsu for the last
Mm. Sure.
I don't know, 2 years really. But basically, like, you have like a couple of good guys, but it's very like split, you don't really have, like, you don't really have like good people training with each other, even if somebody's good, they're usually just, you know, then it's their gym and they have like their students to train with, you know. It's not it's not really, yeah, there's not really any professional training, yeah, possible in jiu-jitsu. And also competition wise, yeah, you don't have, yeah, I mean, there's just not much there really.
I think what you're mentioning is similar to a different problem that you're having now, which is at a certain point in Germany, you recognized, oh, hey, I want more opportunities. I want new grapplers. And now that you're kind of seeing the same guys, even at a very professional level at the UK version, you're still looking around and thinking, I'd like to go to another set of grapplers because you're beating big names.
Yeah, especially so because, yeah, let's say, so I did maybe like, over a year ago, I did like the Polaris where I fought, on the undercard. And then, but at that point, basically, I think I beat Daniel Strauss in a tournament. So at that point, I mean, I've was through everybody in England pretty much, like were fighting, I think. So then I didn't get any, couldn't get any like high level guys obviously to fight me because I had no name or accomplishments really. I mean, okay, I had some accomplishments, but but I was like, okay, so let me just do IBJJF, you know, like even though I'm like, okay, I love my heel hooks, but I'm confident everywhere, you know. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to get any super fights, so let's just do it the proper way, and let's just enter tournaments. And then I managed to get some victories over some really good names. And then I fought on Polaris end of last year. And then they gave me a fight against that guy I already like beaten, and I was like, okay, it's on Polaris, I might as well happily get like an easy fight on Polaris. So I won that. Then I medaled at Nogi Worlds. We had like some good matches. And then after Polaris, then they got me into the heavyweight Grand Prix. So basically that was and then the heavyweight Grand Prix got cancelled. And then now thankfully the UK Grand Prix. But I mean, now I think I made pretty clear that there's nobody in Europe or in England at least that can beat me. But even in Europe, I mean, I've beaten like and besides Adam Wadzinski, like I think I've beaten everybody worth beating in Europe too by now.
That is one of the nice. That is one of the nice things though, because at least from Polaris's perspective, they like those guys that perform well for them. So at the very least, you're on their radar. But I would assume you almost kind of want to get over to our side, in the States, and start challenging yourself there, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because again, like the only way was like, okay, go to Nogi Worlds, compete in America, go to Nogi Pan and compete against. Especially when I got my black belt, you know, I was just like, okay, I need to compete. I never fought against somebody elite. I need to have some tournaments, you know, where I fight some elite people to get the feeling for that. Now, I just hope that I can get on some American shows and fight some big names there. Like, I don't know, maybe like a Tex Johnson rematch. I'm sure he'd be up for that, or something like that. You know, just against people with bigger names, so I can start making a name for myself. Because, especially because, there's going to be ADCC trials, which I'm obviously going to do, and I feel pretty confident that I'm going to win. But otherwise, I don't know if there's going to be any Nogi Worlds or stuff like that this year. So besides super fights, there's not really any opportunity to advance or, you know, in the rankings or whatever. So I definitely really hope I can get super fights in the US, you know, against on Kasai or Fight to Win or whichever shows are doing events.
I know that they're starting to ramp up more and more events. We're obviously going through our own growing pains with a little bit of the coronavirus here, where certain sections are shutting down again. We just got word here in California We're going to have some things shut down, but I'm pretty sure that you will be on more people's radar, especially winning something as prominent as Polaris on a weekend that is a huge fight weekend. Like, part of the reason why everything was front loaded this weekend was they wanted to continue with as many people as possible getting interested in International Fight Week. And if you can't do it in Vegas, you got to try and do something like this. So I'm very confident about things coming together more for you. So let's do this, man. Obviously, when is ADCC trials for you guys? I don't know exactly when those happen.
I think it's in October, but also I don't know if I don't
October.
know if the event, I mean, might happen, might not happen. Who knows? Also,
I mean,
like it's in Moldova or something.
Okay.
I didn't even know that they have grappling there.
There will be some form of trials at some point because Mo has already started talking about it, and I know he's got his eyes on the prize. The one thing I've told the guys out here in the States that I know who want to try out for it is I'm like, still keep November as the target out here for us because I think that's when they'll have it, but be prepared that they might shift a little, I mean,
it's going to happen anyways. If not, then next year. Like, about ADCC tries, I'm not too worried.
Well, that's great stuff, man. And, as we start to circle up here, I just wanted to kind of ask, did you have any sponsors that you wanted to, give shout outs to and thank or anything like that?
Yeah, just my gym, Carlson Gracie London, and my sponsor, Faisha Preta. And that's about it when it comes to sponsors and people to thank. I thank all my training partners, instructors, obviously my gym in Germany, and Polaris for putting up 10K on the UK Grand Prix. Yeah.
Let me go ahead and say this to you right now, because from what I'm hearing is you don't have a ton of sponsors, but I think when you win these big tournaments, we make the plug for people to say, here's why you should sponsor. So do you mind letting me do my work and I'll go ahead and plug you as to why people sponsor you?
But my sponsor is also a pretty good sponsor. So that's the thing, because I mean, obviously I had like companies asking me to sponsor me, but like my sponsor is pretty good. So
oh, well, then I'm not going to take care of you. You're fine then. All right. Well, let's do this. I'm very excited to see what's coming up for you next. Obviously, the next Polaris isn't happening until later this year, but if they are having another Grand Prix, I think you've indicated that you will be in that one, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they said they're planning on doing that. Well, I think it's pretty safe that they're doing it. And no, obviously, I mean, even better for them that I won the UK Grand Prix. I guess it's going to make their tournament even better. So, I mean, in general, that's going to be, I mean, if that's away in 4 months or so, I'm definitely, I mean, that's going to be a big one. So, definitely going to prepare hard for that. And
well, it's excellent. You're gonna have some time, and hopefully, you're not nursing any new injuries that we're not knowing about, but that you could.
No, I need to go to Germany when I'm in Germany next time. I need to get. I know I need to see a doctor, get an MRI done, but I don't think I need like any surgery or something on it. I think it should be fine. Hopefully, just with rehab. Yeah.
Good enough, man. Well, I want to tell you this real quick. Before we let you on out of here, I think there's nothing funnier than when we send you a note and I say, hey, man, do you want to come on? I don't assume people know who I am, but I was kind of taken aback when you're like, hey, yeah, we know you. And we get those notes. That's nice. But the one thing that stuck to me was when I said, do you want to come on the show? You said, yeah, I used to listen to you all the time. And the first thing that goes through my head is, well, what have you been doing since?
I don't know, I know, just, I mean, to be honest, I think I still really enjoy your podcast.
Mm-hmm. But, especially after you've been on the show.
I'm not really listening to much jiu-jitsu related stuff anymore, watch much jiu-jitsu, to be honest. So I'm really, so all my podcasts, I'm not
I'm
really
just saying, with COVID, you got all the time in the world. And I told this to my wife, and my wife told me to ask you this question because she goes, what you need to ask him, if he hasn't been listening lately, is what did Kevin do to make him go away?
No, nothing. Just kind of lost track over time. But yeah, I'm gonna subscribe on iTunes.
You will
sure.
100%.
I will.
You should leave.
I'll
You should
send you,
leave
I'll
a
send you a
review.
picture.
Thank you. Leave a review and a rating, and I will forgive you. Because when you
Okay.
sent me that back, first of all, I have a great sense of humor about that sort of stuff. But I laughed so hard because when you do this for so long, I get people when I go to different tournaments and the younger generation coming up to me and they're being like, man, I remember I used to listen to you when I was young. And I'm like, oh God, we're so old. Jesus. All these kids ever do is just make us feel old. But yours was a particularly funny one of being like, man, I used to love you. Yeah, sure. I'll do an interview with you.
I mean, I still love the podcast. Just didn't happen to listen to it.
That's
But
fine.
I only have great memories.
And I do appreciate before we went on air, you were telling me you were watching us or even listening to us as far back as ADCC 2015. And to me, those were funny times to us because we were just starting to kind of explore more live commentary things. And we've expanded that as things have become bigger. But there was no funner time that I had watching Polaris with Josh Palmer, who was able to walk me through a lot of stuff. And he was telling me great things about you. And I just really appreciated getting to watch you do your work.
He used to train at our gym back in England, actually. Yeah. So he knows the Carlson Gracie London smashing style.
He definitely does. And I mean, I won't give away anything that he tells on the show. He kept it pretty nice. But I will tell you this. It was nice to get him to slum in the way that I do things, because I tell him, I'm like, dude, if I'm on play-by-play commentary, I do a different style than when we just watch an event. If you watch an event, you have to be a little more entertaining and you can be a little more loose. But if I'm doing play-by-play, I want to make sure the athletes feel like we're honoring their matches. And he looked at me midway through and goes, hey, this is kind of fun. I don't have to be so stuffy. I can talk shit about this guy if I want to. And I was like, please do. And I will tell you this right now. I don't know if I still have the Post-it, but I want to make sure that before we get you on out of here, one of the funniest things that I was saying is he kept, after every match, being like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Oh, I knew he was going to win. And I knew. And I looked at him and I go, you aren't saying that. You are saying you're taking credit for knowing after the fact. And he goes, no, I'm pretty sure I predicted it. I'm pretty sure I did that. So I made him on air predict who he thought was going to win. And then when it was him predicting Ross and it didn't become Ross who won, I was like, oh, Josh Palmer, how did that work for you, bud? I thought you knew how this was all going to end. And then it didn't. So that's my little teaser for you if you want to go watch that.
No, I'll have a listen to that. I can't see you anymore.
1 second. Checking 1 second.
Yeah, no.
There we go.
I got it again.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
No. I think you, if you watch bits and pieces of it, I think you will enjoy just a little bit of it. But I'm letting you know we had a fun time watching you. So I want to say thank you very much for your time right now. Thank you for doing this. You're a great kid, man. I really look forward to seeing what comes next for you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully I'll be back on at some point.
I mean, watching how you've been competing lately, I wouldn't be surprised of it, but I definitely wanted to give you some shine for your efforts and for what I think is a truly impressive performance. So if you want to stick around, I'm going to say hi to you off air again real quick, but I'm going to go and sign us off. My thanks. Freddie, thank you so much for stopping by, sir.
Thank you, guys.
All right, before we get you on out of here, I just want to say this to you guys. Thank you so much for watching today. It's been a great day for grappling. We have so many interviews that we're starting to lock up. We've been reaching out to a number of folks who competed over this weekend. So over the next couple of days, we're going to scatter in some interviews. In the meantime, if you want to go to No Gi BJJ Gear and use the promotional code Grappling Hour 15, you'll get 15% off whatever is in your cart. Buy yourself some rash guards. Treat yourself as the way you need to be treated. Because if you can't train jiu-jitsu, you might as well buy some gear that'll make you feel better. I don't know. Just buy some shit. Support the show. Anyway, we'll be back actually tomorrow. And I don't want to tell you who we have until we lock down those dates and times. But my thanks to Freddie, my thanks to all of you. It has been a great day for grappling. My name is Rafa Esparza. We'll see you back on the mats eventually.